刚才那后台导演那个警告我了啊，不能乱说话。要不然扣工资啊！好，来了啊！川普总统出现，跟的是副总统，哎，后面的是保镖啊，保镖。哎，今天人不多呀，好吧，开始了。感谢各位啊！我们国家面临着巨大的考验，这从来没有面临过的。我们目前正与这个致命的病毒作战。我们需要各界紧密的配合。我们每个人都要各尽其职来拯救、挽救美国人的生命。我们必须要做我们认为做的事情。每个国民都要做出相应的牺牲。每个企业、每个社区都要发扬你们的爱国精神，贡献自己的一份努力。每一天。我们期待着很快的一天，在不久的将来，我们打败了这个疫情，我们迎来了一个重新光明的未来。这个病毒真是太破坏性的，带来太大的灾难。我们要记住，现在不能够握手，经常洗手，保持距离。15天以前，我们公布了这个全国范围内的减少疫情扩散的指导指南。我们将这个指南延长到4月30号。我们的专家也解释了我们的数据。基于这个数据，我们延长了这个最后的这个期限，指南的期限。我们要求国民严格遵守目前的这个指南，因为这关系着生和死。我知道我们的国民永远都是在困难的时候挺身而出。我们曾经拥有，我们现在仍然是拥有这世界最伟大、最强大的经济。我们也曾经拥有最大的就业率。但是呢，面对这个情况，我们必须别无选择，必须要关闭我们的经济。我们要做的事情是前所未有的，我们深感骄傲。我们今天有几个声明，同时财务部要宣告对关于这个对中小型企业进行金融救济的这么一系列的方案，以保证他们能够照常发放工资，同时也15 million， 同时也一系列的这个救助的资金马上到位。这些贷款会容许小企业家继续给自己的员工发放工资，包括那些雇佣的合同工。4月3号的话，这个财政部的这个救助方案就马上开始实施了。每个人都打电话交流信息，寻求帮助。这是讨论关于这个 AT&T 电信公司给我们的资助，包括 Verizon， 他们都提升了这个网络的通讯以帮助我们更好的进行交流和合作。 这些不仅包括 AT&T， 包括 Sprint、Comcast， 对吧 ？Verizon 这些刚才说的都是这些电信公司的总裁，他们都做得非常棒。如果你看到其他大洲的话，比如说欧洲的话，他们情况跟我们大不相同，他们的问题太多了。其他的国家也有很多的问题，但是在这个企业层面，尤其是在这个互联网的服务方面，我们的企业电信公司非常给力啊。我们重新更新一下这个关于这个供应链和这个医疗器材和所需的补给的问题。我们的继续源源不断的把这些医疗设备和装备送到我们的50个州。同时，我们也必须要保留储备，包括1万个呼吸机这样的任务，因为我们还会期待可能不久的将来，有些需要的区域会出现一些大的爆发，所以我们必须有所保留。我们跟了这个密西根的这个州长聊了天，同时给他送去了一些这个大量的呼吸机。我们也跟路易斯安那的州长保持沟通，同时也给他们送去了呼吸机。像纽约州的话，250个这个急救车急救救护车和500个这个 EMT 应急小组也不断增加了这工作量，来应对这个当地疫情爆发的这个情况。在那个加州的话，比如说就修建了一些增加修建了一些医疗设施，把又重新增加了5万个这种床位。同时，我们的这个海军医疗船怜悯号已经停靠在洛杉矶，已经开始正常操作了，来收纳病人。很快呢，在纽约呢，我们的这个海军医护船这个福卫号呢也会开启工作同时接纳病人。FEMA 的话就是国家联邦紧急管理局呢，也不断跟当地合作同时给当地提供更多的这种建立野战医院，提供更多的病床，包括提供一些呼吸机从250个这个战地的这个工程兵也不断帮助，比如说密西根提供更多的病床，通过修建这种战地医院。路易斯安那又增加了2个野战医院，提供了500个新的这个病床。这个路易斯安那州的州长，我也刚跟他聊过，他做的是非常棒。同时，这个陆军的这个工程兵也做了难以置信的工作修建了野战医院、护理场地。在这个当地的一些会展中心把这会展中心变成一些这个临时的医院增加了3000个这种床位这非常快的速度就马上这个行动力很强。比如说新建的医院，包括这些这个手术看护室同时一些怀孕的母亲还非常担心他们这个在生产的时候呢，就是会给新生的婴儿就是置于这个感染的危险当中我说你们不用担心，我们会 会跟医院联系好啊，这个产房跟普通的感染区是隔离开的啊，所以说应该会非常的安全。正是我们的国务卿啊，加班加点，一刻不停息的去进行工作。像我们在过去的几个月里面啊，已经接回了海外接回非常多的美国人啊，让他们平安回国。他们也同时国务院也这个国土安全局也密切合作啊，帮助这海外的美国人回到本土，比如说秘鲁啊、巴西啊。他们就已经被滞留在那儿了，然后我们的国家把他们及时的迎接回来了。我们会经历2个非常艰难的星期。专家预测不乐观啊。虽然说我们很快就会看到在隧道的尽头看到光芒啊，看到希望，但是我们这之前要经历非常困难的一段时期了。这个隐形的敌人太可怕了。新泽西的州长墨菲说，他说昨天的话，25个新泽西的居民死于新冠病毒。太不可思议了。在其他的州的话，也相应报道了这个死亡的人数。我们国家正面临着困难，虽然说而且我们的国家一定会变得更好的。我们的力量，会得到考验。我们的国民会以关爱作为回应。这个时期呢，所有的美国人都会团结在一起，团结一心来面对这个挑战。你看看我周围的这些人，全国上下的人民一起的努力，简直太不可思议了。而且我们的反应太快了，非常快，非常及时。比如说撒玛利亚的这个救济辅助啊，给纽约当地提供的帮助啊，都非常了不起。比如说一飞机的这个口罩啊、供给啊，源源不断的运到了这个当地啊，比如纽约啊。我们也对这个医生、护士啊，还有那些医疗的辅助人员，给他们祷告，保佑他们。同时也那些为纽约人民的生命安全不断抗争的人们啊。在皇后区的这个医院，我知道那里的医院啊。我的一辈子都没见过这个场景。我看到这么一个拖车，就是它是一个冷冻的拖箱，里面摆满了尸体，就是用来处理这个死亡的病人。所以当时的场景是非常的让我震惊的。这些医生啊，医院的医生和护士就像是军人在枪林弹雨里面啊，面对这个敌人厮杀一样的，非常的危险啊。他们的勇气啊是难以置信的。我说你们真是太难以置信了，你们太勇敢了。你知道现在空气里面很有可能就充满了这种肺炎的病毒，所以非常的危险。 他说这个人前2天还是处在昏迷，所以说这个病人的变化在病毒之下瞬息万变，而且这个病毒的攻击力、杀伤力实在太厉害了。我们一定会战无不胜的，我们一定会胜利。在很快的未来之内，我现在要让这个伯克女士跟我们分享一下我们得到最新的数据。我们觉得这个数据做得太棒了，整理得太棒了。同时，这个副总统彭斯啊，也会跟大家一起回顾一下最近发生的一些事情，统计学的方面哈，来跟大家探讨一下我们的工作的进展。谢谢你，总统。我们看一下第一个PPT 吧。这是我们这个整个社区这个减缓疫情的这么一个目标。这就是展示的就是这种在30天内我们的疫情的这个预测，什么时候出现峰值，大概有多少人预计会死亡。这个纵坐标呢，就是每天汇报的这个确认的病例。对。
It was their models that created the ability to see what these mitigations could do.
就是这个2个图形呢，就显示了我们目前实行的这个减缓疫情扩散的这个指导方针是如何来改变或减缓这个爆发的这个感染人数的。我们通过这个要求大家保持社交距离禁足令和居家令，我们要求我们的民众每天要经常多洗手尽量不要碰脸碰鼻子如果美国人都严格的执行这个我们的要求的话，我们的预计可能会峰值的时候，大概有15万到20万的美国人会死于这场疫情，有点吓人啊。这个数据模型呢，就是说大概就是每天的纵坐标就是每天的死亡人数横坐标就代表的每天日期
could really help us give insight into the hospital needs, the ventilator needs, and really
比如说意大利、西班牙和南韩和中国的死亡这个数据，能够帮助我们更好的了解我们这个当地的医院的所需或者说我们应该怎样面对给我们更好的这么一个准备。
It's informed every morning or every night.
我们这个数据模型的数据都是每天早早晚晚都在现场进行这个战斗的这个现场人员统计编辑然后发送给我们的，它整理出来今天的这个图形。这个数据主要是聚焦于接下来2周可能我们预期的这个死亡的这个推测
But this is a slide that gives us great hope and understanding about what is possible. On the bottom of the slide, where you can barely see that blue line at the very bottom, that's the current cases in California, the cumulative cases.
所以我们看到这个爬升的曲线才刚刚开始远远没有达到已经快要达到顶峰，但是还没有。我们看到最底下的蓝线呢是加州的，依次的话就是华盛顿州的，然后紧接着是新泽西州，然后爬升最快的就是纽约州的这种每天确认的这个病例所以我们就希望在接下来2周应该是很快看到这个出现那么一个峰值，这个峰值出现过以后呢，就会有一个疫情这个减缓扩散的这么一个趋势。
Next slide, please. So I'm sure you're interested in seeing all of the states.
所以说，这里这个图表呢，就是包括所有这个50个州的这个数据情况。我们就看，对，除了纽约、新泽西以外，其他州的这种疫情的这个统计啊和增加比较接近了。但是纽约州的疫情真是跟其他的州是大相径庭的啊。
With the hope that we don't have significant outbreaks in other states and other metro areas as the community comes together to work together and ensure that the healthcare providers around the globe and in the United States are strengthened by our resolve to continue to mitigate community by community. This is done community by community. We all know people are in their states and in their communities.And we're very dependent on each person in the United States doing the same thing.
我们要求这个每个社区啊，都要继续做我们要求做的事情啊。这个就是来自于意大利的每日的确诊病例的更新。这个纵坐标的话，就是新冠病毒每天的这个汇报的更新的数据。我们看到通过它的这个数据变化，我们就可以大概了解这个可以预测这个峰值什么时候出现啊，什么时候减缓，对吧？我比较担心底特律、芝加哥同时也紧接着就是这个马赛诸塞州虽然目前来看他们的疫情有点出现这个稳定的趋势，但是也非常让人担心。Because they can see the strain that this puts on every nurse, doctor, respiratory therapist. 因为目前这个所有的这个疫情呢，都给我们的医生、护士急救人员造成了非常大的压力。No one who has needed ventilation has not received ventilation, but you can see how stressful it is for each of them. So I know it's stressful to follow the guidelines. 我知道。每天按照这个我们指定的这个指导方针呢，是非常有压力的，非常让人焦虑的。但是我们必须要这么做因为我们没有神奇的子弹，也没有神奇的疫苗。目前，我们每个人的行为都会改变这个疫情大流行的过去在接下来30天的这个发展的轨迹。
Thank you very much, Dr. Birx, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President.
感谢总统。
Dr. Birx has really said very simply is that there are really two dynamic forces.
目前有2个不断变化的力量。我以前说过几次了。
The virus, if left to its own devices, will do that dark curve that Dr. Birx showed you.
对，这个病毒的一个就是那个黑色的这个峰值的曲线。如果我们按照这个预困指导方针的话，就会出现这么一个变得平坦的这么一个峰值曲线我以前说过几次了。当然，这件事情发生的话，不会立刻就会出现的。我等一下会解释一下为什么要我们的方案会有效。
Increase in new cases at a certain rate. When the increase in new cases begin to level off, the secondary effect is less hospitalizations, the next effect is less intensive care, and the next effect is less deaths. The deaths
就是如果控制这个疫情的传播源的话，那接下来所需要的这个感染人数救助急救所需的医疗设备吧，就会相应的大指数性的需求的话，就会指数性的被减缓。所以说目前采取的，所以说大家必须要严格的这个遵循当下的这个纾困的或者什么的指南方针
We cannot be discouraged by that because the mitigation is actually working. And
所以我们的这个
the slide that Dr. Berg showed
遇困是纾困的这个方针啊，是
and New Jersey
是工作的，
and then the cluster of other areas. Our
或者减缓疫情的方针。
believe we can accomplish is to get the hotspot places, the New Yorks, the New
比
Jerseys,
如说，我们现在目前要针对疫情的爆发点，
as importantly,
包括纽约、
then
新泽
those
西，
clusters of areas that have not
集中
yet
针对
gone
这
to
些
that spike
热点
to
区域
prevent them from getting that spike. And the answer to that is mitigation.
就是尽量帮助这两个热点地区呢，尽量
Clearly have had an
不要让它
effect,
爆发
although
呈现这个峰值的情
because
形
of，those
而是
two
帮助
opposing
阻止它
forces.
爆发这个
But
情
the
形。
reason why we feel so strongly about the necessity of the additional 30 days
我们为什么觉得接下来30天的这个疫情舒缓指导方针非常必要的话，
off the accelerator and on the brake, but to just press it down
而
on
是
the accelerator.
通
And
过
that's
这
what
个
I
采取更加强力的手段，让这个曲线压平，而是不是让它继续爬升。
one of the
只有这样的话，我们
we
才
are
能
a
够
very strong and resilient nation.
解决这个问
If you
题。
look at our history, we've been through some terrible
我们是非常坚强的这么一个民族，在过去的话，我们曾经经历过非常艰难的时期，
It's
比如说
inconvenient
现在这个情形，有的国民就不幸的会死亡。
But this is going to be the answer to our problems.
但是目前我们的方案是解决我们当前面临危机的一个答案。
With all the intensity
我们以所有的强力手段来做我们该做的事情，来解决当前的这个病毒的危机。好，副总统，
Mr. President, and to Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci,
感谢总统，感谢两位博士。
people all across this country, when I express
我们
our great admiration and appreciation
全国的国家都对您这几位
steer our
充满了敬仰，
challenging time.
同时你们也领导我们经过了目前这个非常挑战的时期。
When he made the decision at the end of 15 days to slow the spread, to ask the American people to give us 30 more days,
同时呢，
to continue to put into practice
我们要求我们的国民每天身体力行要遵守这个
As you just heard from the experts,
15天，现在已经延长到30天的这个疫情减缓的指导方针。
Dr. Fauci just said there are difficult days ahead.
我们
Our hearts and our
这个
prayers go out to the families
福
of
系
those
刚说，这困难还在前
those
头，
as the president
我们要不断的
we know are
这个祈祷，
struggling at this hour
对那些
across the
对
nation.
那些这个战斗在前线的或者疫情
Each
的
and every one of us
居民给予我们的
cannot be
祝福。
discouraged, because what you can do to protect your health, the health of your family,
你如果遵守的话，如果你做到了保护你自己的健康，你就保护了你的家人，你就保护了医院的医护人员，
this moment
同时也允许医院提供更多的能力帮助需要帮助的人。
America. It really is what every American can do.
这真是每个美国国人都应该要做的事情。
30 days to make a difference
30天的
in
话
the，lives of the
一定会
people, American
让我们
families, and
变得
the
与众不同
nation.
和改变这个当前的这个
I want to give you a few brief
挑战
updates,
的结果。
before the president takes questions. First and foremost, we continue to work very closely with governors around the
同
nation.
时，我们
The president and I spoke to
我们
all
也
the
每天都
governors, all the states and
密切的
territories
跟各州
yesterday.
州长密切合作
And,
沟通。
since we were last together, the president and I have spoken directly to several governors around the
总统已经跟全国各地的州长通话，
Michigan, New York.
包括密西根、纽约和其他的
At the
州。
moment, the president has declared 29 major disaster
同
declarations.
时，总统已经宣布29个州已成为了这个灾难，宣布为重灾区。
To pay for their national
同时呢，也不断通过联邦政府给予各个州区域提供救助。
On the subject of testing, we have now
关于测试的问题呢，
more than 1.1
我们已经完成了110万的检测。
governors around America to assist them in drive-through and community testing centers. I spoke with Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois today.
我今天跟了伊利诺伊州长聊了天，
They've established in cooperation with the U.S. Public Health Service. We remind every governor.
我们要求提醒每一个州长， 请把你们当地的这个检测数据不断的反馈到我们的 CDC， 这样的话，我们就根据你的数据呢，做出更多的模型统计和预测。对，我们要跟这个州长说的是，你们自己尽量决定是否需要国民警卫队介入，以帮助这个运输所需要的医疗设备和设施。比如说，把这个货物通过国民警卫队从仓库运走到医院各州自行决定。我们就已经将源源不断的将这个呼吸机面罩运送到这个全国各地，包括面罩手术用的手术用的口罩
FEMA is literally working and contracting around the world with now more than 51 flights that will be bringing vital medical supplies.
同时，非马联邦紧急救济中心呢，已经跟世界各地的供应商联系，总计启动了50个航班源源不断的从世界各地来这个调用购买所需的医疗设备。我们给新泽西、路易斯安那、密西根都源源不断的送去了成百上千的呼吸机。我们想让站在前线的医护人员知道，我们很快就会给你提供帮助了。不仅包括美国，其中世界的其他的国家，我也想跟你说，我们会全力帮助你们。感谢总统出台了这个15天减缓疫情的指导方针，现在是30天，延长到30天。美国的居民一定要仔细听取当地官员、政府的发布的这个疫情更新，请尽量不要旅行，请不要去纽约、新泽西这些疫情感染比较厉害的地方。比如说纽约州的话，就感染非常严重。如果你来自纽约的话，你必须要自行隔离14天。这样的话，我们就避免了病毒的扩散。最后呢，根据总统说的，美国的大大小小的企业都全力配合，团结一致共同对付这个疫情。比如说沃尔玛，它的这个物流运输分配中心呢，就源源不断的通过18轮的卡车把这个货物或者生活必需品运到全国各地。我想让我们的国民知道，我们全心全力的努力帮助我们的国民。我信心十足的告诉大家，我们的团队非常的努力，他们也得到了很多人的支持，我们一定会渡过难关的，我们一定会全力以赴度过这个。接下来要记者问答。为什么你认为这个刚才的数据模型15-20万的死亡是合理的呢？这个问题需要我们的 Berkey 博士来回答。他说这个只是一个预测，基于现在的当前数据的做的一个预测。这个 PowerPoint 上面的这个数据图形是基于我们的真实数据的。
because that's not assuming 100% of everything.
虽然这个数据一定会100%的发生，但是我们如果虽然你说这个接下来2周会非常痛苦，我的意思就是说会有更多的这个死亡人数，但是它上升到一个峰值以后呢，就会从峰值下来的，死亡人数也会减少。这就是就如果我们想减少死亡率的话，就是我们要多大努力，更加强力的把这个疫情爆发的曲线压平啊，叫 flatten the curve。我们当然不会希望这个死亡的人数会达到这么高，但是基于现实的目前的数据，这是我们所预测的。
Death and cases for much longer. I mean, we do expect far.
Slide number 2.
所以这个记者好像没有看懂这个图表的意思啊。
Go back to the slides and put up slide 2. That's it. Okay. So what I showed you was a generic picture of what happens in an epidemic.
我给你展示的是一个典型的啊，这个传染病爆发的一个预测的一个曲线模型啊。所以这个记者就质疑说，这个曲线跨度的时间跨度太大。所以这个峰值，他说的话就会在接下来2个礼拜会出现，也就在这个4月中旬的时候会出现。对，4月中旬，对。对，就是2方面的因素，就是。6月份，一直到6月份的话，我们一直会看到源源不断的病人的死亡。
At a time when, as an epidemic, we're doing really, really well because the deaths will lag.
对，一般人的死亡都是在这个疫情数据之后发生的。好，这个 CNN 的这个闹事的记者又开始问问题了。我们必须要做好准备。这一定会出现这么多的死亡率吗？当然，我不希望这样了。但是这是非常有可能的，基于现在的数据。但是我们一定要做好准备啊。你觉得我们国家在接下来这么短的时间内有能力对应这种突发的死亡啊、爆发呀？我们看到了这个情形啊，已经在纽约发生了，这是非常艰难的一个情形了。我们必须要对它做好准备。对，这个数据呢是主要是基于这个纽约、新泽西的这个数据来做出的这个预测模型。所以说才出现了这个比较大的风险和比较多的死亡的人数预测。对，但是如果我们要采取更加严厉、强硬的这个措施的话，或提供更多的医疗资助帮助的话，那这个曲线就会变得不一样的。
If we can suppress that from any kind of a spike, the numbers could be significantly lower.
对，如果我们把这个曲线压平的话啊，对，这就是包括一定要严格的遵守我们的制定的这个指导方针。对，尽量把这个峰值压平。
the doctor said 100,000. The number is between 100 and 200,000, maybe even slightly more. But we would hope that we could keep
Can
it
we have the
under.
next slide or the
President.
slide after that? Just go, yeah, one more slide. Perfect, yeah, thank you.
Would you tell cities that aren't doing what, New York, New Jersey, Washington, the cities that have been taking charge in all of this, would you urge some of the cities that haven't been doing this, Mr. President, to get with the program?
Well, I would, but if you see New York, I believe the blue is New York. New York is having a much harder time than other of the cities. Certain cities are doing, actually, if you look down here, an incredible job.
总统在解释这个
They were very, very
解释这个
firm.
科研的数据啊。
This is New Jersey, New York. This is
那这个记者的问题就是说，你要跟对那个除了纽约和新泽西的城市，也要提供什么样的这个
But we're seeing places
指导方针？
not doing
这样的话，他们才不会重复以纽约和新泽西目前的这种情形啊。
Mr. President.
yes.
大概这个意思啊。
A question to you and then to Dr. Fauci as well. You told us yesterday that you're accomplishing, or the U.S. at least is accomplishing 100,000 tests per day, but we're still hearing difficult stories from the front lines of the first responders.
昨天说了，昨天一天就测了大概 11万的测试样品，但是有人又说这个不一样的结果。我们做的检测比世界其他国家做的都多。
Well, we're doing every day we get, and the word is exponential. We are getting more and more and more. And now we have the new test that you saw yesterday. That's going to be rolled out, I think, tomorrow or the next.
昨天你看到那个我们新的这个打算采纳的这个测试手段的话，也会帮助我们啊更快、更准确的做更多的检测的。 如果你有一个非常不准确，只有50%准确度的测试，那都太糟糕了。但是我们的检测手段要远远的好，非常非常的准确。 我们做的又多检测，而且做的非常非常的准确。
The test president unveiled yesterday the Abbott Laboratories test, which is
这个 Abbott 的这个测试的方法，
very closely with Admiral Giroir,
是我们接下来会大力使用的这么一个方法，
distributed around.
因为它只有15分钟的这个检测时间，
Abbott
非常快。
Laboratories actually going to be producing 50,000 tests a day.
这个 Abbott 的这个实验室，它会大概以后每天生产大概这个5万个这种测试的试剂盒。
And they've told us they have several thousand on the shelf now. And what we're doing is trying to identify the areas where we may yet have pockets, or, as Dr. Birx often says,
我们也在不断的发现这个可能会急需这种测试试剂盒的这些区域，这样的话我们就集中精力，加大这种地区的这种检测的这个检测的需要，检测的数量。
And that is that when you look at this chart, go back 15 days, and the reality is that, and this is me speaking as a layperson, but as
我作为一个门外汉的话，假如我们把这个曲线回放15天之前的话，
it's a city that we really believe may have had exposure to the coronavirus much earlier.
如果回到15天之前，
we could have known.
如果我们当时就知道的话， 采取更加严厉的措施的话，就不会出现今天这个局面。应该。
When we look at this chart for all the other states, including Washington State and California, it really does give evidence that, at least it begins to give evidence that the 15 days to slow the spread is working.
就是说，我们采取的这个15天的这个减缓疫情的指导方针是有效的、工作的啊。因为你看其他州的情况就看出来了。 他们没有像纽约、新泽西那样的大爆发。觉得副总统在说纽约、新泽西可能采取的这个有点太晚。
The president's coronavirus guidelines were working, and that's precisely why President Trump is asking every American to continue to put these guidelines into practice for 30 more days.
Mr. President, follow up on testing. Just a quick question.
继续在接下来30天的这个
So right now we're at about 4,000 deaths here in the United States. You're suggesting a spike of more
美国已经有4000人死亡了。
weeks. Do you have a demographic breakdown of the areas that are most at risk and where most of those deaths may occur?
你有这种死亡人口分布的这个一个谱图吗？
Chris Murray, he would say he's using the information coming out of New York and New Jersey.
呀，他这个他没有用1亩3分地啊，这个1亩3分地网站上都已经很清楚的标注这个哪一个城市啊，哪一个州，具体的哪一个城市就是死亡的人数，每天更新都有啊。所以这个记者看来还是没有完全这个关注这个疫情的这个进展。
It's possible, and we're watching very closely to make sure it doesn't have a spike. But that's what the people in Washington State are doing. This is what every community, Washington State early, about 2 weeks before New York or New Jersey. California, a week before New York or New Jersey, really talked to their communities and decided to mitigate before they started seeing this number of cases. And now we know that makes a big difference. Early, as Dr. Fauci said, if you wait till you see it, it's too late.
对，就是尽早的，一定要尽早的执行这个遇困的这个方针，才能有效的压平这个扩散的曲线。
Very low mortality, not to say that young people under 30 or young people under 40 aren't getting ill. They are, but most of them are recovering. So the profile looks identical to Italy with increasing mortality with age and pre-existing medical conditions.
所以说，对这个年龄小于30岁的人群呢，他们也会生病，但他们绝大部分会比较康复。所以说，如果再看看意大利的这个数据呢？感染死亡的人数呢，主要是来自于这个年老的，而且身体比较虚弱的，就抵抗力比较差的人。我们基本上是为全球的各个专家、疫情专家，每天都是紧密的合作沟通的。
So, these are the things that everybody is having to face. And I think the United States is in an excellent position from our medical care position, but we don't want to have to test that system. We want this to be a much smaller epidemic with much smaller mortality.
对，我们需要更小的这个扩散，更少的这个人员死亡。
So the testing numbers, I understand 1 million tests done is a big increase, but we were told there would be 27 million tests available by the end of the month. So can you outline where in the supply chain, where in the logistics chain are those other 26?
有人说这个月底的话，我们要测试大概2700万的人啊，我们有足够的供应量吗？和这个医疗所需吗？
Because a month ago or more, the president brought together the top commercial labs in America and said, we need you to partner with us to create a brand new system that would rapidly process tests. We're now at 1.1 million tests, and we believe it's a fair estimate that we're testing about 100,000 Americans a day. That'll continue to grow. It'll continue to accelerate. But I think the misunderstanding early on was there were many tests being distributed, many test kits being sent, but under the old system, as the president's described it, the antiquated system, those were being processed in state labs or at CDC or in private labs on a very slow, methodical system that could only produce maybe 30 to 50 tests a day. But this new partnership that we have with commercial laboratories allows the progress we're making. But the breakthrough with Abbott Laboratories now moves to point of care. which
还有
means
像
you're going to have
Abbott 实验
devices
室，
and tests
就
that
是
people
直
will
接
literally
可
be
以
able to
在
take
医
at
院
their
里
doctor's
面
office, at a
测
hospital,
试
at a clinic, at a
不
nursing
用再
home,
送
and
到
have the results in
实
15
验
minutes.
室。
So those 26 million tests we were
15
talking about,
分钟
were
就
those
可以。
tests under the old antiquated system?
Yes.
And now, so are we still even using those 27 million tests, or have we just completely moved on to the
我们
point
The answer is
of
yes.
记
Now
记
it's
者
So,
讲，我
even
们现在
today,
还用不用
which is, I have to
老
say,
的
coming
系
out of
统？
laboratories and
就
developed
在
tests and worked on
今
vaccines
天
and then gone to the field to actually combat epidemics. It is disappointing to me right now that we have
我自己的
about
工作经
500,000
验，
capacity of Abbott tests
他
that
讲
are not
还
being
是
utilized. So they are
蛮
out, they're
让
in the
人失
States,
望
they're
的。
not being run and not
已
utilized. So
经
now we have to
发
figure
出
out
去了，但
how
还
do
是没
we
有
create
开始
awareness?
用。
Because sometimes when you put an early platform out, like
他
our
说
first
要
platform out when the
让
high
大
speed was
家怎么
Roche.
意
So you
识
get that
到
out, people get dependent on that, and then don't see that there's availability of other tests. So
然
right
后
now
有的
there's
人
over
看不到
500,000
别
tests
的
sitting
方法，
capacity that are not being
有
utilized. So
半
we're
个
trying
百
to figure out
万
how do we
还没
inform
有开
states
始
about where these
用。
all are? How do we work through every laboratory
我们要
association so they're
跟州
aware?
政府
And how do
讲，
we
他们
raise
应该
awareness so
改
people
变
know
一
that there's
下
point of care, there's Thermo
意
Fisher,
思。
there's Abbott testing, and there's Roche. And if you add those
讲
together,
好多
that's
公
millions of
司
tests
可
a
以
week.
测试，
And they're not, and so those are
加
the
一
all,
起可以
or they're not even being used. So that's what's
有
really, so
100
that's what we're
万。
working on.
What's the reason for being used?
Because when people get used to a single platform, they keep sending it back to that lab.
有的
So it's getting in a
人
queue to wait to get on a Roche
和
machine
一
rather than being
个
moved to
实验
this other
室
lab that may have Abbott capacity. Because they're all in different laboratories.
习
And
惯
so
了，
I think, well, actually,
然后
Admiral
不想
Giroir is
送
figuring it
到
out to really create
It's-
some kind of visual so that every governor and every health commissioner can see all of their capacity
想
in
发
their
一点
countries.
这
I mean, in
个
their states, county by
图
county,
片
so that they
给
know
州
where the
里
tests are.
面，
So we pushed a lot of tests out,
呃
but they're not all being
这样
utilized. And
It's up to
so
the people
让
whether
他
they
们
send it
知
back.
道
They use them, they don't
都
send
在
it back.
哪
So
里
Dr.
可以测试。
No, I mean, Dr. Burks explained it very, very well. I just want to get back, John, to your
之前
question.
的
It's a logical question.
Dr.
When you look
Burks
at the number, you want to know what the
解释得很
demography is going
好。
to be. This is a number
你
that
想
we
知
need to
道这
anticipate,
个
but we don't necessarily have to accept it as
分布。
being inevitable. And that's getting back to what I'm saying about we can
我
influence this to a varying
有这个
degrees.
数
And if we
字，
influence it to the maximum,
只
we
是
don't
我
have to
们的
accept
一
that.
个
That's something we
想
need to
法。
anticipate. But I want to do, not I,
我
all of
们
us
还
want to
是
do
要
much, much better than that.
有这
On that front,
个
what do the models suggest
想
is
法
on the low end if you have full mitigation?
Well, it says
That was
between
full
100
Yeah,
was-
that was full mitigation.
It says
No,
100 to 200,000.
方法的
Anything was
话
a lot of people, right? It's a lot of people.
100到
Well,
200
you didn't
千
ask the other question. What would have happened? Because this is the question that
没有
I've
问
been asking Dr.
如
Fauci
果我
and
们
Dr.
不
Birx
做
for a long time, and
什么都不
they've been
做，
working on this for a long
会什
time.
么？
The question is, what would have happened if we did nothing? Because there was a group that said, let's just write it out. Let's write it out. What would have happened? And that number
有一
comes
个
in at
小
1.5 to
组
1.6 million people, up to 2.2 and even
做了
beyond. So
这个
that's 2.2 million people would have died
奖励
if we did nothing.
有
We just carried on our life. Now, I don't think that
200
would have been
万。
possible because you would have had people dying all over the place. This would not have been a normal life.
他
How many
说
people
这
would
样
have even seen anybody die? You would have seen
这样
people
子
dying on
大家
airplanes. You would
生
have
活
been
都
seeing
不正
people
常。
dying in hotel lobbies. You would have seen death all over. So I think from a practical
你可以看到
standpoint,
大街上
that couldn't have
都
been carried
是
out too far.
有人
But
死。
if you did nothing on the higher side,
如果你什
the
么
number
都
would
不
be
干，
2.2 and maybe even more, and on the lower side, 1.6 million people.
Understood, but if
200
100,000 is the number with full mitigation, how do you push it, how do you push it lower?
So, no, we'll go together. We've been at this a long time. You go first.
So, John, it's an obvious, very good question. If this is full mitigation and it's 100,000, why am I standing here saying I want to make it better?
为
Because
什么我
that's
还
what the
在
model
这里
tells？you it's going to do. What we
因
do
为这
is that
只
every
是我
time we
们
get more data, you
算
feed
出
it
来。
back in and relook at the model.
每
Is the
次我
model really
们
telling
拿
you
到更
what's
多
actually
数据，
going
就
on?
再
And
算一
again, I
遍。
know my modeling colleagues are going to not be happy with me. But
我的
models are as good as the
算的
assumptions
这
you
些
put into
同
them.
事可
And
能
as we get more data,
会不
then
喜
you
欢，
put
但
it in, and
是
that might change.
这
So
个
even
都
though
是
it
有
says
很多
according
你
to the
的
model,
想
which is
法
a
在
good
里
model
面。
that we're dealing
算
with,
的
this is full
蛮
mitigation.
好，
As
但
we get
是
more
还
data,
是
as
一
the weeks
个
go
我们
by,
自己的
that could be modified.
想法。
Why does the model now, the top line on the lowball estimate, why does that not top out? I think it said 240,000, not 200,000. Is that a change? Is that because the states haven't been doing enough?
You know,
这
it
个
just has to do
问的
with
是
if you had more New
这个
Yorks
数
and New
字
Jerseys, you
有没
know,
有算别
Chicago,
的州？
Detroit, LA, Dallas, Houston. You know, all of our major
他
cities
说
modeled like
算
New
了
York.
很多，
That's what gets us into trouble. But I am
都
reassured by
是用
looking at
纽约
the
的
Seattle
数
line,
据。
by looking at the LA line, by looking at what California's been able to do,
LA
that is
加
not
州
something that I don't believe that's going to happen. That is the outside
不
case
相
of
信
having 10, 15 metros
会
like New York
发
and the New
生
Jersey metro
像
area.
纽约。
New York had community spread pretty early undetected, so don't many of those other states, if not
纽
more
约
of them,
之前
who
都
had
没有
even less
发
information,
现，
aren't they likely to see the same spike?
你们
Well,
现在
California and Washington State reacted very early to this. I
加
mean,
州
yes,
还
Washington
有
State had some of the earliest
Washington
infections.
很
They
早
have
就
kept it
反
low
应，
and steady, and for now a month has been
但是
tracking
他
it
们
with
这
a
个
small
比较
increase in the number of
低，
cases, but not this logarithmic form of the virus. And so that's
这
the
个
that's the piece that we're
log-
trying to prevent. That's the piece that
logarithmic
we're trying to prevent in New Orleans, in
我们
Detroit,
就
in
是想
Chicago, and in
不
Boston
要
right now.
在别
And
的
trying to
大
make sure that each of those cities work more like California than the New York metro
更
area.
像
Mr. President, I just wanted to get your thoughts on face masks. We asked you about this yesterday, and you signaled you were thinking about
我
it.
们想问
To
一
end
下
the last topic, though, I think I
面罩
can
的
say
事
this
情。
because I spoke to Dr. Burks before and
我
to
觉
Dr.
得
Fauci. For whatever reason, New York
我
got off
可
to
以
a very
回
late
答
start.
这个问题。
And you see what happens when you get off to a late start. New Jersey got
我们
off to, and I think both governors are doing an excellent job, but they got off to a
有
very
的
late start. When
都
you look
做
at
得
Washington State, if
很好。
you remember, that all started in a very confined nursing home. And you had 20 some odd people, I
都是
believe,
开
dying
始
in one
在
home. That doesn't mean it escaped that home. And so
护士
they have a
中
very
心
different statistic than other states. But I mean, I
都
remember it
是
very
封
vividly
闭
the
的。
nursing home in Washington State, where you had many people dying every day. People were
像
dying in the one exact
Washington
location.
的
So they were able to
都
keep
是
that,
很多
relatively
在
speaking, into that
护
location.
士
But on the
中心的
Were you
集
surprised when
中
you saw
的
these projections? The numbers are sobering.
They're very sobering. Yeah, when you see 100,000
这
people,
些
that's at,
数
and
字
that's at
很
a
让
minimum
人
number. Now, what we're
伤
looking
心。
at, and as many people as we're talking about,
我们看
whatever
的
we can
是
do under that number and substantially
Woman.
under that number, we've done that through really great mitigation. We've done that through
做
a lot
的，
of very dedicated American people. That
我们
you
很
know,
多奉
100,000
献
is
的
is, according to modeling, a very low number. In fact, when I first saw the
我
number,
们
and I
算
asked this a while
出
ago,
来的
they said it's
数
unlikely
字
you'll be able to
可以
attain
让
that.
它
I think
低
we're doing
很
better than
多
that. Now, I think
我们做的
we have to see, but I think we're
我
doing
觉得
better
我
than
们
that.
做
Because, as
的
John said, that would
更
be,
好。
you know, a lot of lives taking place over a relatively short period of time. But think of what would have happened if we didn't do anything. I mean, I've had many
但
friends,
是要
business
想
people,
想，我们
people with great
如果
actually
什么
common
都
sense.
不
They said,
做，
why don't we write
还
it out? A lot of
会
people
有
have said, a lot of people
更
have thought about it.
糟。
Write it out. Don't do anything. Just write it out and think of it as the flu. But it's not the flu. It's vicious.
这个不
When you send a
是
friend to the
感
hospital
冒
and，you call up to find out how is he doing. It happened to me, where he goes to the hospital, he says goodbye, he's sort of a tough guy,
很
a
个
little older,
很
a little
多
heavier.
这
he'd
样
like to be,
就感冒
frankly.
就回
And you go up the next day, how's he doing? And he's in a coma? This is not the flu.
然
So we would
后
have seen things had we done nothing.
这
But for a
个
long
并
while, a
不
lot of
是
people were
感
asking that
冒，
question, I think, right? I was
很
asking
多
it
人
also. I mean, a lot of
很
people
久
were saying, well,
都
let's
在
just
讲，
write it out. This is not to be written out,
就
because then you would
是
have been
感
looking
冒
at。
但是
potentially
很
2.2 million people or more. 2.2 million people in a relatively short period of time.
算出来这样
If
子
you
会
remember,
200万
they were looking at
的
that
人
concept.
死。
It's a concept, I guess. You know, it's a concept. If you don't mind death, a lot of death. But they were looking at that in the UK.
这只
Remember?
是一
They
个
were
概
very
念
much looking at it.
英国
And
就
all of a sudden, they
这
went
样
hard the other
看。
way because they started seeing things that weren't good. So they
后来
were,
发现
you know,
不
put
好
themselves in a little， bit of
就
a problem. Now
另
Boris
一个方
tested
法。
positive, and I hear I hope he's going to be
Boris
fine. But in the UK, they were looking at that,
生病了，
and they have a
希
name
望
for it,
他
but we won't
会
even
好。
go by the name. But it would have been very catastrophic, I think, if that would have happened. But that was something that everybody was talking
那
about, Steve.
边
Like,
如果
just
那
don't
样
do
下
anything.
去
Don't do
会
anything.
很不
Forget
好。
about everything. Just write it out. They use the expression "write it out." We would have had, at a minimum, 1.5, 1.6, but you would have had perhaps
这
more
样
than
怎么
2.2
不
million
做
people
就
dying in a very short
至
period of time.
少
And that would have been a
200
number that,
万。
the likes of which we've never seen. So now when we look at our
我们没有
package
见过
that
这
we
样
just
的。
approved for $2 trillion, all of a sudden it seems
我们这个
very reasonable,
救
right?
救
When you're
济的
talking about
package，
2 million
现
lives,
在你
all of a
觉
sudden
得
it seems very
蛮
reasonable.
好的，
I must say, a lot
不
of people that
是
have
那么
been seeing
多。
the more advanced numbers, because these are much more advanced numbers now. You know, when you
有
first
的
started,
人
we didn't know
讲
this was a different kind of a virus,
这
and
个
nobody
数
knew that much
字
about it. Even the experts, you
不
don't
太
really know where it's
对
going.。But then they see what goes on in
有
Italy,
的
and they
专
see what goes on
有
in
的专
Spain,
家还有
and you
意
see
见，
France is having a
看
very hard
看
time, and other countries having a very, very hard time. But once they see what's going
别的
on,
国
they
家
start making projections. So I
看
hope they're going to be
看
very high
觉
projections,
得
but
这个样
based on
子，
everything else, that would be the number. Let's see if we can do much better than that. I hope we can. Yeah, John.
What about masks? You
我
didn't
们
answer.
希
What
望
about
做
masks?
得更好。
Okay.
Well, I understand there's an issue with supplies,
That's right.
but if there
Well,
was
it's
enough
this
for
way. You know, you can use a
我觉得
scarf. A scarf is
我
everybody. A
你
lot of
可
people
以
have
用
scarves,
一个
and you can
围
use a scarf.
巾，
Scarf would be very good. And my feeling is if people want to do it, there's certainly no harm to it.
我
I
觉
would say
得
do it, but use a scarf if you
想
want. You
戴
know,
口
rather than
罩
going
可
out
以
and getting a mask
戴
or whatever. We're making millions and
没有
millions
什
of
么
masks.
不对。
But we want them to go to the hospitals. I mean, one of the things that Dr. Fauci told me today is we don't want them competing. We don't want everybody
Dr.
competing
Fauci
with the hospitals where you really
不
need them.
想让大
So
家
you
去
can use
抢
scarves. You
医
can use
院
something
的
else over your face. It doesn't have to be a
口罩
mask. But it's not a bad
只
idea,
要
at least for
当
a period of time. I mean, eventually you're not going to want to do that.
面孔
You're not going to have to do that. This is going to be gone. It'll be gone. Hopefully gone for a
等
long
这个
time.
没有了，
Please.
就不需要。
The mitigation steps that are on your 30-day plan,
记者讲
is that enough or is more needed? Have you been
Well, we're going to
discussing that
find out.
behind
We
the
hope it's
呃
enough. We hope it's enough. We hope
30
we're at a
天
level where
够
we
不
could
够？
say,
我希
let's go,
望
because
可
our
以
country
够。
wants to get back to work. We really want to get back.
我
Everybody
们
wants to
想
get back
回
to work.
去工作。
Now, I could ask the doctors to answer that question, but we discuss that all
我
the time. What do you
问医
think?
生，但
recommending
是我
harsher
也可以。
Well, I think
mitigation?
I think we've been very harsh. I mean, you look at the streets. I looked at Fifth
我
Avenue today
觉得我
on
们
camera,
做的
and
蛮
I didn't see anybody walking on
厉
the street.
害。
And I'm used to watching that street. You can't even
我
see.
没
You
看
can't
到
see the asphalt. You
马
can't see
路
the
上
concrete.
有人，
And you look at this, nobody. There was one car. Looked
没有
like it might
人。
have been a taxi cab.
就那
And
么
it was in a time of
一
the
辆
morning that
车，
normally there'd be a lot of people. I mean, you know, I think the
早
mitigation has
上
been very strong.
一
Please.
般人很多，
Will you
我
confirm
觉
your
得我
plans
们做
to
的蛮好
defer。tariff payments for 90 days? And secondly, on
I
in-person,
didn't
有
do
没有
anything
想
about tariff
到
payments. I don't know who's talking about tariff
不
payments.
交
They keep talking about tariff
不
payments.
交
and,
税？
we haven't done that. China's paying us. We made a deal
我
with
没
China.
有
Under the deal, they're paying us
这样子。
25% on $250 billion.
像中
And
国
they
该
pay.
交税
And I
交
spoke with
税。
President Xi the other day, and he didn't mention that. We didn't mention that. We had a great
我
conversation,
和
by the way.
西，我
A
们
really
没有
productive
那天
conversation having
讲
to do
话
with
没
many
有
things.
讲
Most
到
of
这
it was
个。
on the virus. But you know,
主要讨论这个
we're not talking.
病。
Who are you with? Who are you with?
If I could just clarify.
Who are you
你
with?
是哪一家的？
That there's reporting by the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg that there's a plan in
Yeah, I know,
motion
it's incorrect reporting.
to.
Well, they might be, but I'm going to have to approve the plan. The one thing I will tell you, I approve
可
everything,
能会
and
发
they，haven't presented it to
但
me.
是我
So
还要
therefore, it's false
我还要
reporting.
同
So
意。
therefore, don't do the story. If we're going to do
所以你
something,
这里在
I'd be glad to let
假
you know.
的
There's nothing
信
wrong with doing it, but we'll let you know. Yeah, please, let a couple of facts, then we'll get back to you, John. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Philip White with Real Clear Politics. I wanted to ask you about individual states issuing stay-at-home orders. What do you think, for instance, in Florida, Ron DeSantis has resisted urges to issue one of those, but he said moments ago that if you and the rest of the task force recommended one, that would weigh on him heavily. What sort of circumstances need to be in place for you to make that call and say this is something you should consider?
Different kind of a state. Also, great governor, knows exactly what he's doing, has a very strong view on it. And we have spoken to Ron. Mike, do you want to just tell
我
him a
觉
little
得
bit
他
about
蛮
that?
好。
Well, let me echo our
但是
appreciation
解
for
释
Governor
一下，
DeSantis' leadership in Florida. He's been taking decisive steps from early on
佛罗里达州
and
长
working
做
closely
的蛮好，
with our team at the federal level. But let me be very clear on this.
和我们政府
The
很
recommendation of our health
近。
experts was to take the 15 days to slow the spread
我们
and
推
have
荐
the president extend
15天
that to 30 days for every
现
American.
在
Now, that being said,
30天，
we
每一个美
recognize
国人，
that when you're dealing with a health crisis in the country,
我们
it is locally executed by
明白
healthcare workers, but it's state managed. And
这
so we
个还
continue to
是
flow
要地
information
方
to state governors. We continue to hear about the
我
data
们
that they're
让
analyzing
消
and
息
consult with
流
them.
到
But at
地
the
方政
president's
府，
direction, the White House Coronavirus Task Force will continue to take the
在我
posture that we
们
will
这里
defer
会继
to
续
state and local health authorities on any measures that they deem appropriate.
发消息
But for the
给
next 30 days,
底下
this is
的
what we
政
believe
府。
every American in every state should be doing
这是我
at a
们
minimum
相
to
信
slow the
每
spread.
个
Unless
州
we see something
应该
obviously wrong, we're going to let the governors do it. Now, if it's
如果
obviously
我
wrong,
们
I mean,
看
people
到
can make things, they can make a
明
decision
显
that we
很
think is
错的，
so
我
far out that it's
会
wrong, we will stop that. But in the
开
case
始
of Governor
我会
DeSantis, you know,
停下
there's two
他
thoughts to
们。
it, and two very good thoughts to it. And he's been doing a great job in every respect, so
正
we'll see
是
what
这
happens.
个
But
佛罗里
we
达
only
州
would
长
exercise it
做
with
的
somebody who was
还
very obviously
可
wrong. Go ahead,
以。
your turn.
Thanks. I had a question in a minute for Vice President about
Go ahead.
the National Strategic Stockpile, but while you're at the podium, I wanted to ask about your
想
call
问
with President Putin a couple days ago. I know a big economic
和
concern for a lot of people has been the state of oil prices right now.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you raised that with President Putin, if you were
油
able to
的
in any
We had a
way
call.
价
Probably about that, the oil prices, because as you know, Russia and
讲了
Saudi Arabia are
油
going at
价
it, and they're really going at it, and by
俄
going at
国
it to the
和
extent that they are,
中
the
东
oil has dropped to a point where, look, it's the
这
greatest
个
tax cut
油
we've ever
已
given.
经
If you look at it that
到
way, because people are going to be paying
很便宜
99 cents for a gallon of gasoline. It's
就19分
incredible in a lot of ways, going to help the
的油
airlines, but at the same time, it's hurtful to
对
one of
飞
our
机
biggest
是蛮
industries.
好
It's
的。
the oil industry. It's really
我们
it's not
的
even feasible what's going on.
油
So I spoke to President Putin about that. I
也
also
也
spoke to
在
the
升
Crown Prince about that, Saudi Arabia.
我和
No, I think, yeah, they're going to get together, and
Saudi
we're all going to get
都讲
together, and
过
we're going to see what we can do, because you don't want to lose an
我们
industry. You're going to lose an
会
industry over it.
一起开
Thousands and
始，
thousands of jobs.
我们都
We
不想
have,
丢
I
掉
don't know
这
if you know,
个
there's oil all over the oceans
油
right now. The boats are all filled. The ships are, they're renting ships that were dying, that weren't
他
doing well,
们
and now
租
like
油
that's where they're
租
storing oil.
船
And they're sent out to sea, and they sit there
然
for
后
long periods of
存
time.
油。
There's so much oil. In some cases, it's probably less valuable than water. In some parts of the world, water is much more valuable. So we've never seen anything
现
like
在
it.
比
But
水
the two
都要
countries
便
are
宜，有的地方。
discussing it, and I am
他
joining
们我们
at the
在
appropriate time if need be. We had a great talk with President Putin. We had a
讨
great talk
论
with the Crown Prince. We also discussed, more so with President Putin in this case, the virus,
because Russia's being hit
和
pretty
普
hard.
京也讲了
And we
这
discussed
个
many things. Trade,
病
we discussed a lot of
在
things
俄
with
国
both.
的事
But
情，
in
我
the
们
case
讲了
of both,
很
we
多
very much
事情，
discussed the oil and the oil prices. I mean, you look, it's $22, but it's really
也
much
讲了
cheaper
这
than
个
that
油，
if you want to negotiate. Nobody's seen that. That's like from the 1950s.
没有人
It really
见
is.
过
You have to
油
think that
这
it
样。
was 50, 60, 70, 80. And now it's 22, but you know, if you put a good bid in at 9, I think you could probably get what you wanted, right? John, please.
Mr. President, you tweeted earlier today that now would be a good time to start looking toward, if there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and work on an infrastructure bill. Again, you suggested it should be $2 trillion, which is twice what the last one was, or the proposal at least. Are you anticipating that, like after the economic crisis of 2008, 2009, America will need to have so-called shovel-ready jobs ready to go to get people back to work?
Well, the problem with that one is they had maybe shovel-ready jobs, maybe not, but they never used it for the purpose of infrastructure. So far, nobody's been able to find any money that was spent on infrastructure. I want to use it for infrastructure. And one of the reasons I'm suggesting it, John, is we're paying zero interest. The United States is paying almost zero interest rate. The Federal Reserve lowered the rate, the Fed rate. And that and a combination of the fact that everybody wants to be in the United States. You know, we have a dollar that's very strong, and I know that sounds good, but it does make it hard to manufacture and sell outside because other currencies are falling, and our currency is very strong. It's very, very strong. Proportionately, it's through the roof. So we have a strong dollar. People want to invest in the United States, especially nowadays where they're looking at safety. They have all of the problems, plus the virus at 151 countries. They all want to come into the United States. And so we have a zero interest rate, essentially. And I said, wouldn't this be a great time to borrow money at zero interest rate and really build our infrastructure like we can do it? So the plan was, the Republicans had a plan of about 750 I would say they were at 7.5. You had the Democrats were a little less than $1 trillion. The Republicans were a little bit less than that. And I'm suggesting $2 trillion. We redo our roads, our highways, our bridges. We fix up our tunnels, which are many of them in bad shape, like coming into New York, as you know, really bad shape. And we really do a job in our infrastructure. And that doesn't mean we're going to do the Green New Deal, because I won't do it. I won't approve it. We're not going to do the Green New Deal and spend 40% of the money on things that people just have fun with.
How would you pay for it, sir?
We're going to borrow the money at 0% interest. So our interest payments would be almost zero, and we can borrow long term. People want to be in the United States. They want to be invested in the United States. Go ahead, Jim.
I wanted to get back to the virus. You were saying at the beginning of the press conference that you're looking at holding back 10,000 ventilators. Is that because you need to pick and choose where these ventilators are going to have to go because of the nature of the pandemic? And also, I just wanted to ask Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, if it's possible after you finish, is that part of the reason why you're projecting 100,000 to 200,000 deaths, that there are going to be some people who aren't going to be able to get ventilators be put on?
Actually, just the opposite, because we're holding back. We have almost 10,000, and we're holding because we're going to need them over the next couple of weeks as the surge goes on. You see the chart. We haven't hit the top yet, and we have to be able to move them immediately. And we can't take them because it's going to be very hard to do that. We can't take them to places that aren't needing them. Plus, we have requests for ventilators in hospitals and in states and cities that don't need them, in our opinion. They don't need them. They won't need them at the top. So we're holding it back for flexibility. We actually just took 600 and we sent them to different locations today. But we have close to 10,000, and we'll be able to get them. And we're all set to march. We have the National Guards and we have FEMA. And we're all set to move them to the places. So, as per your second question, what we're going to do is save lives because of it. Because otherwise, we would not be able to get to ventilators. And we don't know what the hottest spot is.
Ventilator shortage right now?
In some areas, we might. But we've done a great job with ventilators, and we're having them made unbelievable. We have now 11 companies making ventilators. Now they'll be starting to arrive in the next week. But we've also grabbed a lot of them. Some hospitals had more than they were saying, or at least more than we knew about, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. But we want to be able to have, I guess the word would be flexibility, so that if the surge turns out to be much stronger in Louisiana, which it could,
that we can immediately bring 1,000 or 2,000 to Louisiana. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get them. We wouldn't be able to say, listen, Governor Cuomo in New York, we want to take ventilators away from New York. And they'll say, well, we can't do that. It would be a disaster. So we have great flexibility. Now, when the surge occurs, if it occurs fairly evenly, we'll be able to distribute them very quickly before they need them. But we have a reserve right now. It's like having oil reserves, except more valuable, frankly. But we have a reserve right now. And we'll be able, and we also have a great team of people ready to deliver. They can move them fast. So when we see it going up in a certain state, and Louisiana could be one, and Michigan could be another with Detroit, because Detroit is having a lot of hard time right now. Detroit came out of nowhere, and that's what happens with this. It comes out of nowhere. So we are ready, Jim, depending on what happens, and we have a stockpile, and that's why it's called a stockpile. Now, a lot of the ventilators and a lot of the other equipment, rather than sending it to the stockpile, we had it sent directly to a hospital, to a location, to a place. So we didn't have the cumbersome nature of having it come in, unboxed, put in, and then deliver it. We have it brought, which they've never done before. They don't do that. Generally speaking, they don't do that. But we've had, I think, Mike, we've had tremendous success at doing that. That's for other items, including ventilators, where it's brought to the site that needs it. But we have a good supply of ventilators, and we're ready to go. We're all ready. We have trucks ready. We have everything ready, because, as we're saying, John, this could be a hell of a bad 2 weeks. This is going to be a very bad 2 and maybe even 3 weeks. This is going to be 3 weeks like we haven't seen before.
Should the hospitals be prepared for that?
Well, I think the hospitals...
that they're facing what looks like a medical war zone in some of these places.
They are going to be facing a war zone. That's what it is. I've heard some of the paramedics and some of the doctors. They said they've been in war zones. They've never seen anything like this. You look at Elmhurst Hospital in Queens. I've never seen it. I mean, I just think it's because it's a hospital that's near where I grew up. And it is a war zone.
On the ventilator, so we've been hearing from governors who say they are fighting amongst themselves, essentially bidding amongst themselves to get these ventilators.
If that happens, they should be calling us. We have ventilators, but we've distributed thousands of ventilators. But they shouldn't be doing that. And if they need them that badly, we know. We have pretty good ideas of where they're going to need them. Some people, frankly, think they need them and they don't need them. I don't want to mention names, but there are some people that want them, and it's really not the right thing. Then you have some people that, I guess, automatically hoard a little bit. They want to have more than they think they need. But, a ventilator is a very precious piece of equipment right now. It's hard to make. It takes a long time to make it. It's complex. Some of them are like the dashboard of an airplane. I mean, they're very complicated and very expensive machines. And some are much simpler. But we're ready to go depending on what happens. But we have some hospitals in some states that think they need ventilators, and we don't think they do. Now, if they do need them, we will have them there before they need them. We'll be able to move very quickly.
Data on these trials?
Nothing that I've heard. I mean, that's the first question I make every morning. I tell you, I call up, we have 1,100 in New York right now, and we have other locations where where people are taking them. Now, the good news is it's only 3 days, and it's like a 7 or 8 day treatment. The good news is we haven't heard anything bad. In other words, there have been no catastrophic events. But we haven't, it's a little bit too soon to talk about it. It would be a total game changer, John, if that happened. If that happened, it would be a game changer. And we include that in that, and I think in all cases, the Z-Pack, you know what the Z-Pack is. So we're going to see what happens with the hydroxychloroquine. Just 1 second.
Other antiviral drugs that have some promise of working soon.
We're looking at a lot of them. Some show promise. I think maybe the doctor might want to speak about the vaccines, because a lot of Johnson & Johnson is advanced, very advanced. We'll see what happens. The one thing with the vaccine is it doesn't help this group, because this group, you need to test a vaccine. The one thing with the drug you just mentioned, right, is that's been out. It's
a malaria drug and also an arthritis drug. So it's been out there for a long time. Very powerful drug, but it's been out there for a long time. So it's tested in the sense that you know it doesn't kill you. But you may want to discuss the vaccines for a second, Dr.
就是另外一种测试的方式。
Just for a second before the vaccine, in answer to your question, Steve, there are a number of candidates. The drugs that are now being looked at in various ways, either compassionate use, clinical trials, but generally drugs that already exist for other things. There's a whole menu of drugs and interventions that are now going into clinical trials that are not approved for anything yet. I mean, for example, things like immune serum, convalescent plasma, or hyperimmune globulin, or monoclonal antibodies, a variety of other things. Right now, there's a lot of activity going on behind the scenes in the design of the kinds of clinical trials that will give us an answer. Because you need an answer, because if it doesn't work, you want to get it off the table and go to the next one. So there are a lot of things. Vaccine.
How long does that normally take? Weeks, months?
Yeah, no, it takes at least months. At least months. At least. So, I mean, that's the reason why you're seeing a lot of activity with drugs that already exist for other purposes, because they're already there. But the drugs that you want to show in a good randomized clinical trial, at very best, are going to take months. Just one word on the vaccine. You know, exactly like we said, we hope that as we get into the summer, if in fact there are cases out there, when you're in a phase 2 or phase 3 trial, or 2B, as we call it, that we might get an early efficacy signal. And an efficacy signal means that even though you haven't definitively proven that a vaccine works, you get enough information that if it were an emergency, you might be able to have an emergency use authorization for it.
That sounds good. And I have to say this, hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, which is, you know, you take it with it, maybe, if you want, for the infection. I think some medical workers are doing that, using it maybe, or getting it prescribed perhaps as for another use. But the word is that some are and some aren't. I mean, I think it's not a bad idea to do it, but that's up to the doctors. But there is a theory going around that in our country and some other countries, people are taking that work in the hospitals, that work with the patients, because there is some evidence, and again, it's going to have to be proven. It's very early. You know, we're rushing this stuff through. This was supposed to take a long time to be approved, and I prevailed upon the FDA to get it approved immediately on the basis that it was already on the market for a lot of years, for another years. Malaria, mostly, and arthritis, but mostly malaria. So we'll see what happens, but there is a theory out there that for the medical worker, doctor, it may work. It may work. And if you take it, it's, you know, it's been out there for a long time. Please, go ahead.
I just wanted to go back to Jim's question about the national stockpile. The governor of Connecticut today...
About which?
The national strategic stockpile. The governor of Connecticut today said that he was disturbed to learn that the stockpile is now empty. That's his words. And he said...
Well, it's not empty. Let me explain something. What we do, and I thought I said it accurately, I certainly meant to, rather than having it brought into the stockpile, where appropriate, other than certain things like we have quite a few of the ventilators, which is not a lot when you look at the whole country. Actually, it sounds like a lot, almost 10,000. But we're trying to have supply sent directly to the states, because we save a big state. We save a big. We don't want medical supplies coming in to warehouses all over the place, and then we take them from there and bring them to another warehouse. So we're having it brought from ideally from the manufacturer directly to the hospital or the state where it's going. So we're trying to keep it that way as much as possible. Now, in some cases, we are having it brought. Remember this, we also took over a virtually empty, and I say it again, just like we had no ammunition in the military, and we had virtually no ammunition. Well, we had very little in medical supplies, too, in our stockpile. So for the most part, we're trying very hard to have it delivered to the site where they need it. Yeah, please, go ahead.
President, here in the United States, domestically, we can practice social distancing, but some of our sailors, specifically on the USS Theodore Roosevelt, they're not able to. They're in confined spaces. What are your thoughts on that? Should they be offloaded? And then, sir, are you concerned?
I'm going to let the military make that decision.
Yes, sir, but are you concerned about U.S. military readiness during this pandemic. For instance, what would happen if as reported, China was to increase patrols in the South China Sea? What would your
Well,
response
we're going to
be?
see all about that. Don't worry about our military. You know, you saw the military put up a hospital in 3.5 days with 2,900 beds. With a lot of beds. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And by the way, that wasn't the only one. It wasn't just at Javits Center. It was at other locations. And now it's Louisiana, and now it's New Jersey, and now it's other places. One thing that I think is indisputable is when I watch the Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA working with them, but when I watch the Army Corps of Engineers throw up these hospitals, and they're complex. I mean, these are incredible buildings, essentially, tents, various things, but they did it in such a short period of time. And our military is ready like you haven't seen. And you know who the best guests on the different shows are? We watch the shows at night. And I think the best guests that I've seen in a long time are the military people, and they've never done it before. I've watched General Semonite, who I deal with a lot. They say, General, you got to give us 2 new hospitals in Louisiana. Yes, sir. And the next morning, they're building them at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're up in 3 days. I think they're the best guests you have. I guess I'm tired of the other guests, in all fairness.
What kind of message do you have?
Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Yes, this may be an uncomfortable question, but what would the models have looked like that Dr. Brooks and Dr. Fauci showed if we had started these social distancing guidelines sooner, in February or January, when China, South Korea were doing those sorts of things?
Well, I'm going to let them answer that.
In terms of what information we're getting from them, but if we had started these practices sooner, could these models be different right now?
I'm going to let them answer the question, but remember this, and again, I say it, and everybody says it. You know who says it better than anybody is Dr. Fauci. I had a decision to make. Maybe it was my biggest decision. China was heavily infected, and thousands of people were coming from China to the United States. And against the wishes, not even wishes, but they disagreed with the decision. I made a decision to stop China from coming in. Took a lot of heat, even from China. They weren't exactly happy. I just made a trade deal, a big one, $250 billion trade deal, and I'm shortly thereafter saying you can't come into our country. That was a big decision. That was earlier than the dates you're talking about. So that was a big decision. That was probably, and by the way, not because I did it, that was probably the biggest decision we made so far. But if you look at the one graph, the problem New York has is New York started late, but the other ones didn't start so late. Now, New York is also more complicated because, you know, for obvious reasons. It got a late start. But do you want to maybe answer those questions?
I don't know if you can go back to slide 2, because I wanted to explain 2 things that I think is really important, because we had a lot of questions about mortality and what it meant. Okay. So here's the line. This is the confidence interval. This is where we have the ability to push it down. So you have a large confidence interval around the line. And so we're trying to move that gray down tighter and below the dotted line. So I think that's really important. And then if you can go to the next slide. So we really can't answer your question until we can get antibody testing out there. Because what we can't tell you is, and we can always do this, there's always samples in hospitals and other things. It's the way we really defined the HIV epidemic in the United States. We were able to go back to blood samples when we had the test and really find out where it was and what was going on. You really need to look in here and really see, was there virus significantly circulating in early March and in late February, and what did it look like, and where was it, and was it all in the metro areas? And I think that's what Dr. Fauci and I are very focused on, is getting serology testing out there to really figure out when it came, and really have those samples to be able to do that.
Painful part of my question, and please, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, we understand, but we can't answer it to you.
If we started this sooner, we might not have 100,000 to 200,000 Americans dying.
Well, that makes an assumption. There was a lot back here that we didn't see.
但是
And
你也
until we have the
是
antibody tests, I can't really answer
假
that.
设
Just
那
to
边
underscore
之前有
what
更
Dr.
多
Burks was saying, if there was no virus in the background, there was nothing to mitigate. If
如
there
果
was
我们
virus
没
there that we didn't
有
know about, then the
那
answer
个
to
时
your
候没
question
有
is
的话，没有
probably
什么
yes.
需要
Now, the
去
only trouble with that is that
做的。
whenever you come out and say
如
something
如
like
果
that,
那
it
时候
always
有的话，
becomes
就是
almost a soundbite that gets taken out of
要
context.
去
But I
做。
think that's very important, what Dr. Burks has said, is that if there was covert infections here that we didn't know about, and we didn't mitigate them,
这
then
个
they
里
would
有
have
我
made
们
a
不
difference.
知
If
道
there was
的
virtually nothing there,
发
then
病
there's nothing to mitigate. And I don't know the answer
But
to
they
your
were
question.
early. They
才
started
会
early. But we were
像你
watching
Yeah.
South Korea, and China and Italy,
像你说的。
and we weren't taking action when
但
those
是我
countries
记
were
者讲，我们
spiking.
看
In a perfect
中国、
world,
意大
it would have
利、
been nice
韩
to
国
know，what was going on there. We didn't, but I
我
believe,
们
Jim, that we acted
希
very,
望
very
可
early in
以
that.
We had adequate testing.
早点知道，但是我们决定的反应的还是很早。
We inherited obsolete tests.
Can I speak to that too as well? President made reference to the fact
我
January
想
31,
讲一讲，
he suspended all travel from China. Shortly thereafter,
我
we
很
issued
早就
strong
听
travel
中
advisories for
国
the sections
飞
of Italy
机，
implicated and sections of South Korea.
很早开
And
始
we reached agreements with
建
those
议
countries to screen
不建
all
议
passengers from all
旅
airports
行意
coming
大
into the
利、
United States of America.
韩国。
The president's initial efforts were designed at preventing the coronavirus from coming into the United
我
States.
之前
And what our experts have
是
told us
要
again and again
防
at the
止
Coronavirus Task Force
发病进
is
来
that，those actions bought us a significant amount of time on this curve
这些
to
动作
respond
给
with
我
kind of
们很
mitigation
多时
efforts,
间。
standing up resources, testing, and supplies that are in effect. But we went from a prevention strategy the
我们
president acted on
从
before the month of
防别
January was
人
over
进来
to a mitigation strategy, which
到
continues to this day.
解
And
解
if I can also
决
say, just to every American, all the questions about resources are very important. And I can assure you that the president and our task force
我
are
保证
preoccupied with these issues and working with governors
我
hour
们
by hour to meet
有
those needs.
我
But
们
if
和
Americans
州
will put
长
into practice
合
these
作，
guidelines for another 30 days,
只要
they'll
大
do
家
their
在
part to
30
lower
天
the curve and
30
save
天
lives, most importantly,
social distancing，
and limit the burden on our hospitals and our healthcare system in
让
the country
大家
significantly. And so make no mistake
降
about
低
it, while
医
we're
院
going to
的
work our hearts out, leave no stone unturned to find the resources, the masks, the ventilators that we need.
我们会去
And
找
we are going to meet that moment with the full energy of the American
呼吸
economy and the
机，
whole of the
找
American government. The
口
American
罩，
people have a role to play
包
in
括支
preserving
持经
that
济。
medical capacity in a way that will ensure that people that are caught up in the coronavirus, particularly those that are vulnerable to the most serious
保
outcomes, which are
证
seniors with
比较
serious
弱
underlying
的
health conditions
人
or anyone with an immunodeficiency, have the resources to support and the health care that every American
有资
family
源
would want their loved one to have.
每一个美国人
I do think we were very early, but I also think that we were very smart because we stopped China. We had
我
never
觉
done
得
that
我们
before.
很
You
聪
know, we
明
never，closed our borders
很
before,
早
as
就
I
停
read. I don't know,
飞
maybe that's
机。
not right. And
我读到我
Dr.
们
Fauci had
从来没有
also said that was, I
关
think
边
it
境
was
过。
maybe the biggest moment because we were stopping the
我
source,
觉
we
得
were
这
stopping
是
the
很
infection.
大的一
But we
个
also stopped
时刻。
very shortly thereafter. That was a big
我
decision. That was
们
not an
也
easy decision
听
either. I
欧
stopped
洲
them a long time before people started stopping.
不容
So we
易
stopped China, we stopped Europe, we
我
stopped all of
们
Europe. And then
停了
ultimately
中
we
国、
stopped
欧洲，
UK, Ireland.
后来
Yes.
还有英
Please in the back, the very back, please.
Mr. President and team, going back to hydroxychloroquine, how many clinical trial
回到这
tests
个药
numerically would you like to see before you put a stamp of
要
approval on
多
it?
少
Because
个
there are clinical
测
trials
试
being taking place around the world right now.
Sure, please.
Is there a number? How many cases would you like to see?
That is an
要
FDA
有一
decision,
个
and it really
数
depends
吗
on a variety of factors. What
这
I would like
这
to
是
see a clinical trial
FDA
that has
的
a
决定。
comparison to something that is comparable to
我
what it
想
means
看到
without the
比
drug.
较。
I mean, I keep saying it, I say it all the time, and I'll say it again. It's a controlled trial that
我一直
compares it to
讲
something
是一个
meaningful.
控制的
Trials that you're watching taking place around the
实
world right
验。
now.
Well, there are a number of trials going on, not only in the United States, but also in other parts of the world. You know, right now it's too early to make any determination, but I just want to get back to what I've said all the time. The definitive way that you get an answer is by doing a randomized controlled clinical trial. Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. McConnell,
You're talking about the chloroquine? Is that what you're talking about? And specifically for the last question? Yeah. No, there are trials going on, but there are also trials going on. They're trying on people that are now sick. That's a very important. That's a very important trial.
Experimented with around the world. So my question was really like, are there
We're watching
specific?
whatever happens around the world. We're watching those trials very closely.
我们在关注全世界的实验。
on the line today, he was on Mitch McConnell, yeah. He said that impeachment diverted the attention of the government. Do you think that in any way this was happening and building at the same time? Did it divert your attention or your team's attention or the vice president's attention?
有
I
人
don't like to think I did. I think I handled it very well, but I guess it probably did.
我觉得
I
我
mean,
处
I
理
got
的蛮
impeached.
好。
I think, you know, I certainly devoted a
我
little time to
被
thinking about it, right?
impeach
So, but think of it. It was a
他们
hoax.
要
It was a total
要
hoax.
替我
And when you think that I got impeached only
我
because they
觉
had
得
a
这
majority in
是
the
搞
House,
笑。
they didn't get one Republican vote. 196 to
一
nothing.
个
Not one Republican. I don't think it's ever
Republican 的
happened. The
投票
Republicans
都
stuck
没有。
together. And they stuck together in the
我
Senate
们
52 to a half.
在一起。
A half. So, you know, when you say that, yeah, I think it took a lot of, I see them going and saying about speed. Well, they probably illegally impeached me in the sense that if you look at the
他
FBI
们这
today
个
with what
替
happened,
我
the horrible things,
是
nobody cares about that now because all they're
非
thinking
法
about
的。
is the virus, and that's okay with me. But you look
他
at the
们现
report that came
在
out from IG Horowitz, it's disgraceful what went on. It's
主要
disgraceful.
讲管
It's a
这个
total
病
disgrace.
毒
They got caught in
我
the
觉得
act.
这个
But you know what? We won't talk about that now. Did it
很
divert
不
my
好看。
attention? I think I'm getting A pluses for the way I handled myself
我觉
during a phony impeachment.
plus
Okay? It was a hoax. But certainly, I guess
这
I
个
thought of it.
就是
And
搞笑。
I think I probably acted. I
我
don't think
觉
I
得
would have done any
我
better had I not been impeached.
我觉得我
Okay?
做
And I
的
think
蛮
that's a
好
great。tribute to something. Maybe it's a tribute to me. But I don't think I would have acted any differently.
我
Or
觉得这
I don't think I
是
would have acted any faster. But
我不觉
the
得我
Democrats,
会 做
their whole
别
life, their
的。
whole being, their whole existence was to try
民主
and get
党
me out of office any way they can.
就
Even
像
if it was a phony
替
deal.
我出去
And it was a phony deal. And it
不
turned
管
out, and all you have to
真的
do is look
假的
today at the FBI
这个
reports.
就是
Take
假
a look
的
at what the FBI did. Take a look at the
你看
people.
看
Take a look at Comey's
FBI
report. 78 pages of total kill.
看看 Comey
Take a look at
的
that. Take a look at the
report。
report on McCabe. Just read it. And you'll see how horrible it was. And you know what? I
看到
don't
这个
think
有
this
多
country's going
假
to，take it. You want to know the truth?
我觉得这个国家不会接受。
How did it take you out of
What
the game?
guidance are you offering to Florida when it comes to the two Holland American cruise ships
to
that are seeking
Florida.
to dock here?
Yeah, well, I'll be speaking. I'm going to be speaking. In fact, he has a call in to me. We'll be speaking to. We'll be speaking to the governor, and we'll be speaking to him soon. But there's a
州长
case.
讲，
We have two ships. There are people that are sick on the ship, and we don't want to be like they're going to be ghost
有
ships.
人
You know,
在
people
船
turn
上
those
有
ships
病，
away. There was a ship, as you know, in
别
a
人
certain
拒
part of
绝这
Asia,
个船，
and from port to port, nobody would take it. But in the meantime, you have people that are
没
dying
人
on the
接
ship,
受，
or at least very sick,
有
but
人
they're
死
dying on the
在
ship.
船上。
So I'm gonna, I'm gonna do what's right, not only for us but for humanity. I mean,
做
these are
对
two big
的
ships,
事
and
情
they。have a lot of very sick people. And I'll be speaking to the governor. Let's do just a couple of more back here. Yeah, go ahead. You'll get-
Mr. President, Ms.
Yeah, go ahead,
Mayor,
please.
Thank you very much. I was hoping you could.
You ever run out of questions? It's the most unbelievable thing. You go
你
through
们
the room.
为什么一直
But
都
I have
有
nothing
问
else to
题？
do, so if you want us, I mean, if you want, should
你
we
们
keep
没
it going,
什么
John? I
事
think
情
so.
做吗？
Let's go.
For me, please. Andrew Cuomo today said that the system that we have where governors are
记
trying
者
to get
讲，
ventilators, it's like being on eBay with 50 other states bidding on a ventilator plus FEMA. And then you just said
有
tonight,
大家都我
they
们
said
在
he was-
抢
he was
呼吸
complaining?
机。Cuomo 州长
Say it.
讲，
Say it. What did he say exactly? What did he say?
he said that when you have states competing for ventilators and medical care, it's like being on eBay with 50 other states bidding on a ventilator.
Well, he shouldn't be complaining because we gave him a lot of ventilators. And if you take a look at the chart, it's down. I wish he got going a little bit sooner. But we gave him a lot of ventilators. And you know what? He has a lot of ventilators. The problem is with some people, no matter what you give, it's never enough. It's never enough. Like they'll say, how's Trump doing? And you're a Democrat. Some of them said really good. I'll tell you, Gavin Newsom from California, who's doing a good job, by the way. And others said really good. But, you know, generally your natural reflex, how's Trump doing? You ask that question to a Democrat. Well, we don't like it. Oh, really? You don't like it? We're getting very high marks, but I'm not doing this for marks. I'm doing this to save lives. When John when John saw the numbers and when Jim saw those numbers, they're shocking numbers. You know, you're talking about deaths. Even at the low end, you were shocked when you see 100 and 120,000 and 200,000 people over potentially a very short period of time. I want to save lives. I'm not doing this for any other reason. I want to save lives. But the governor of New York's gotten, I think maybe probably gotten more than anybody. He's gotten 4 hospitals. He's gotten 4 medical tents. He's gotten a ship, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, other than Los Angeles, which has the twin. I mean, we've done a lot. But many ventilators were sent to New York. And Mayor de Blasio, I'm getting along with Mayor de Blasio great, and I think he's very happy with the job we're doing, too. We're sending a lot of, actually, Mayor de Blasio had an interesting request. He wanted people. And we're sending medical people. You know, a lot of people, a lot of the states aren't having a problem with ventilators. They're having a problem getting medical people. And we're sending a lot of people in, military, very talented people. Who didn't go? Go ahead, and then I'll do you second.
Your response to that question your response to that question earlier was that they shouldn't be doing that. They need something. They need them.
They should be doing what?
They shouldn't be, the governors shouldn't be competing with each other.
No, they shouldn't be competing, and they should call us. Wait, no, I don't want them to compete because all they're going to do is drive up the price. I don't want them to compete. They should be calling us, and we can work it so they get the ventilators and they get shipped directly. If they're competing, if they're calling, even if there's only 2 of them calling, they're going to just drive up the price because as nice as some of the people that do ventilators, they do want to make money, okay? Now, you know, New York had a chance to buy 16,000 ventilators. I guess they didn't take that option. That was in 2016. And that's a hard option to take because it's a lot of money. And who would ever think you need 16,000 ventilators? Who would ever think it? But this is a very unique time in life. And I think, you know, I'm dealing with New York, and we're having a very good relationship. And you see what just happened in Central Park with the tents. I mean, we're having a really good relationship. Go ahead. You didn't get one of them.
Thank you. Gavin Newsom, you mentioned Gavin Newsom and the job that he's doing. I'm interested in what you think California has done to contribute to the suppression of the current.
Well, they've done a good job, California. Now, let's see what happens, because we could have a spike, doctors. I mean, you don't know. They could have a spike where all of a sudden it spikes upward. We had a couple, like Louisiana. I think they're doing a really good job, but they had nothing. Now they had Mardi Gras, and then all of a sudden after Mardi Gras, which tells you about distancing, I guess. I mean, it's an example of what could happen, but they were like flawless. I was always surprised. I was looking at Louisiana, and I understand that state. I love that state. And I'm saying they're in great shape. Then they have Mardi Gras. It was a big success, tremendous success, and then all of a sudden it went like a rocket ship. So that tells you about distancing, please.
结果现在又多了，就讲到 distancing 很关键，讲到加州的流浪汉会不会传这个病？我们在看这个问题。不知道 Nancy Pelosi 担不担心 ，Gavin 州长很担心。
Just a few years ago, didn't have anybody in those areas, and they're living in the streets, and they're. I know that some people in California are working on that very hard.
Mr. President, you served several times with Prime Minister Trudeau, President Macron, and at the end of last week, President Macron talked about an important initiative that you and him would launch Any news on that?
No, we're talking about something that will be very positive for the world if we do it. We'll see if we do it or not. Well, I don't want to talk. It's a private thing, but it will become public if we decide to do it. But positive. Our relationship with the president, our relationship with France, is, I think extraordinary, very good, probably as good as it's ever been.
Back to your comments about what could have happened and the actions that you took. Is there any fairness to the criticism that you may have lulled Americans into a false sense of security when you were saying things like it's going to go away and that sort of thing? But when you were saying
it's going to go away, hopefully at the end of the month, and if not, it hopefully will be soon after that.
Hasn't your thinking on this evolved?
It is going away.
Hasn't your thinking on this evolved? You're taking it more seriously now.
I think from the beginning, my attitude was that we have to give this country. I know how bad it was. All you have to do is look at what was going on in China. It was devastation. And look at the numbers from China, those initial numbers coming out from China. But, I read an article today which was very interesting. They say we wish President Trump would give more bad news. Give bad news. I'm not about bad news. I want to give people hope. I want to give people a feeling that we all have a chance. I mean, when you saw the numbers, and when John and all of you saw those numbers, and you're saying 120,000 people, you mean that's good? 100,000 dead people within a short period of time. I want to give people a feeling of hope. I could be very negative. I could say, wait a minute, those numbers are terrible. This is going to be horrible. This is a horrible thing. Hey, Jim.
Okay, let's go to the beach. Let's go to the airport. Let's go down to Mardi Gras.
Well, there were a lot of people. There were a lot of people that could have said that. We didn't say that. Fortunately, I didn't say that, and that was an alternative. We talked about it. That was always an alternative. That's what I said. Let it whip. Let it ride. Do nothing. And we could have had 2.2 million dead people. More than that. Because I didn't do that. And we did catch it early, and we stopped China really early, and we stopped Europe really early because I saw what was happening. What happened is I stopped Italy, because Italy was really heavily infected. We started off with certain parts of Italy, then all of Italy, then we saw Spain. Then I said, stop Europe, let's stop Europe. We have to stop them from coming here. Europe, I love Europe, but they were having problems. I don't think anybody did a better job than that. Especially when you see the 2.2 million number. And I hope we're going to be substantially under the numbers that you're looking at on the minimum side. Then I think we will have, hey, look, it's still tremendous death. I want to be positive. I don't want to be negative. I'm a positive person. Somebody said, oh, I wish it'd be more negative. They literally have that. It's in one of the wonderful newspapers today. I wish it'd be more negative. Well, this is really easy to be negative about, but I want to give people hope too. I'm a cheerleader for the country. We're going through the worst thing that the country's probably ever seen. Look, we had the Civil War, we lost 600,000 people. Here's the thing, had we not done anything, we would have lost many times that. But we did something, and so it's going to be hopefully way under that. But, we lose more here potentially than you lose in world wars as a country. So there's nothing positive, there's nothing great about it, but I want to give people in this country hope. I think it's very important. I thought it could be. I knew everything. I knew it could be horrible, and I knew it could be maybe good. Don't forget, at that time, people didn't know that much about it. Even the experts, we were talking about it. We didn't know where it was going. We saw China, but that was it. Maybe it would have stopped at China. We wish we could have killed it in China. But it didn't happen. It started spreading to Europe. It started spreading here. It started spreading all over. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that we have an incredible thing. I think the people, our professionals, our military, our governors, our politicians, I think they've done an incredible job. I mean, with few exceptions, I think they've done an incredible job. But I don't want to be a negative person. It'd be so much easier for me to come up and say, we have bad news. We're going to lose 220,000 people. And it's going to happen over the next few weeks. And with that, I did start off by saying today, long before this question, I said, this is going to be a rough 2 or 3 weeks. This is going to be one of the roughest 2 or 3 weeks we've ever had in our country. We're going to lose thousands of people. When I see 28, 29 people from the governor of New Jersey, 29 people. When you see 173 people died in New York yesterday, or whatever the number was, I think it was more than that. When you see the kind of numbers that we're witnessing, we've never seen numbers like that.
100多个人
So it's easy to be
从
negative.
来没有见
And
过
then everybody can be negative. But I'm a cheerleader for our country. And I
我
want to
一
do a great
旦
job. So the
这
number
样
can be
大
kept.
家都
And I've
没有
always said
希
it.
望
I want as few a number of people to die as possible. And that's all we're working on.
我想
You don't like the question, but are you now taking
I don't mind the
responsibility?
question.
Do you
I don't mind your
Are you-
question.
are
I
you
think
now
I think
taking
it's actually I think
how things
it's
go
not
from
meant
this
to be.
point?
Look, I know you well enough, so it's not meant to be a fair question, but it is a fair
我认
question.
识你，
I think we've done a fantastic job. Okay, fine.
你
I'll
的
I'll
问
accept
题
you.
还
Look, Jim,
可以。
I think we've done a great job.
Jim，
We're going to see how it comes
我
out.
觉得我们
But when
做
you
的
look at
蛮
minimal
好。
numbers of 120,000 people,
你看看
when you look at it could have been 2.2 million people died and more if we did nothing.
这个
If we
可
just
能
did nothing, it
是
would have gone up. It would have
200
come down.
万
As per your statement, it would have been confined. It would have been a similar time, maybe even less time.
可以
It would have been
让它
violence like we've never seen in this country
控
before.
制
We had great
我
professionals,
们可
great
能会
military,
发生
really great
很多别
governors
的
and politicians.
事情。
I cannot
那
say
么
enough
好的
about
州
what's
长
going on.
和
And as per what you
军队
said, I think we're way ahead of schedule in terms of numbers. I think, I hope.
我觉得我
But if
们
we can keep
在
it
我
under
们
the
的
minimum
时间
numbers,
表前面
the，country has, not me, the country has done a great job. But
国
I think
家
I've done a
都
really good
做
job
得
of
很好。
mobilizing. I think Mike Pence has been fantastic. I put him in charge of the task force. We have wonderful people on the task
Mike
force,
Pence
Jim. Wonderful
做得
people.
很好。
This man was working literally. He had days where he didn't go to bed, he didn't go to sleep. He called. He went 24 hours
他
and then
都
started
没
the next
空
day.
睡觉，
People don't know the job he did.
你们
I didn't
不
even know he
知
was that
道
good。of a manager, to be honest with you, Mike. Okay, and you know, you never know that about
我
somebody until
都
they're
不，
tested
我
on
之
the
前
fire.
都不知道他
But
这
he
么
saw
厉
it very
害。
early also. We both did. They saw it very early. They knew pretty soon. They
我们
probably knew
很早
sooner than
就
anybody.
看出来，
Because that's what they study. That's what they do. Must be a depressing business.
这
right?
是
Must
他
be a little
们
bit，depressing. But they've
这
seen it
是
all.
他们的专
Go
业
ahead, Jim.
Can I ask Dr.
很
Fauci
让
a
人
question
伤
about a
心的
headline
专
that's been
业。
running all day to get his perspective on it? There is a professor from MIT, Dr. Fauci, who suggests that
MIT
coronavirus can be carried on
的教授
droplets a distance of 27 feet.
讲
Do you
这
buy into
个
that? And if that might be the case, does that suggest that current social distancing
都有这
guidelines
个
may need to be
病毒
extended?，
你
could
这个
really be
social distancing 的
terribly
distance
misleading,
不够。
What it was
我觉
looking
得这
at the
个
distance
不
that
太
droplets
对。
by speaking, by coughing, by sneezing.
我们
So if you
讲
go
的
way
是
back and go
这样的话，
and go like that, you might get
像你这样
27 feet.
去，
But
你可
so
以
you
可
see
能
somebody
喷
do that,
到
get out of the way. But that's not practical.
27。
That is not practical, John. I'm sorry, but I was
但是有人
disturbed
可
by
以
that
这
report
样。
because that's misleading. That
我
means
觉得
that
这个
all of a
很
sudden the 6-foot thing doesn't work.
错。
That is a very, very robust, vigorous achoo sneeze. That's what that is. And that's
这
not
是一个很
what we're talking
厉害的一个阿丘，不是我们讲的
about.
这
Go ahead. How
个。
about over?
I've got a follow-up on the masks, sir, but first, you mentioned Franklin Graham earlier,
我想
talking to
问
him.
这个
As you know,
口
his
罩，
father, Billy Graham, was a trusted spiritual advisor and friend to many presidents. A lot of your predecessors in times of national emergency reached out to pastors and other
你
spiritual
之前的
counselors.
人
Have you done that during this national
还
Well,
有
I never say that, but Franklin
会去
Graham is
找
somebody
牧
that's very
师。
special. I have many very special people, and very many special in the evangelical Christian community. You could talk
基督教
rabbis,
的
you could talk a lot of, I have tremendous
也可以
support
找
from religious
rabbi
leaders. And Franklin
我
Graham, I
很
just spoke to
多
him today
支
for an
持
extended
的
period of time. I told him what a fantastic job you're doing. And he does this.
宗教
He
的
loves doing it. He loves helping people. And he loves Jesus. That I can
这
tell
个
you. He loves
pastor
Jesus. He's a
很
great
很
gentleman.
会
Go ahead.
帮
On
助
the
人
masks,。sir, on the masks, maybe for the doctors.
What?
On the masks, is the reason why there's no CDC recommendation for the
讲
public
到
to wear
口
masks
罩，
is because they're
为
meant to,
什么不
to
让
save
大
and
家
preserve the
戴
masks for the
口
medical
罩？
workers, or is it because the
要
virus is
升
not
口
primarily
罩
transmitted
给
through the air?
So there was a
给医
CDC
生还
does have
是
recommendations on their website about masks
CDC
that came to the
推
task
荐
force
的
several weeks ago. about
口
if you're
罩。
infected wearing a
几个礼
mask to
拜之
protect
前，
others, and if you
你
can't,
有
you're
病
working
就
with
戴
someone
口
who's
罩。
sick, and you have to be that worker in the household.
旁边
because
有
remember, we want
人
people in the
生
household
病
being taken care of,
要
that they should
戴
wear a mask.
口罩。
I know your question is broader than that, and it's just being considered by the task force now
我明
about
白
whether that
我们正
recommendation that
在
already
考
exists
虑
relevant to wearing mask should be altered in any way. So it's still under
我
discussion.
们想改这个
And
推
just
荐。
about masks, you can get a mask, but you can also
讲到
do, I mean, most people have scarves, and scarves are
讲到
very
口
good,
罩，
and they can use a
可
scarf.
以自
And we're only
己
talking about a limited
用
period of time.
围
But,
围
and it says
巾，
in the recommendations you can substitute a scarf for a mask. So
可以
if people feel
用
that,
别的。
and I think,
你
you
想
know, some people
要
disagree with the mask for various reasons, and some people don't. But you can wear a
有
scarf,
的
you
人
can
不
do the
同
masks
意
if it makes you
有
feel
的
better. We
人
have no
同
objection
意
to it, and some people recommend
你
it.
可以
Let's go back
Thank
to
you,
Yeah.
Mr. President.
You people never get tired. Look at you.
你
And they're still
们
good
都
questions,
不
actually.
吃力吗？
Mr. President, again,
那么
I'm
多
looking
问
at
题。
the cases around the world in Latin America and the Middle East, and
Yeah.
still you don't want to
记者
impose a
讲
travel ban for these areas. In Brazil, for
南美
instance,
洲
the President
还
Bolsonaro,
有
he keeps on being very active with groups. Aren't you
巴
afraid
西
that what we're doing here can be
You
threatened
mean
by
you
what-
people? You mean you people?
Not here, but I mean the United States.
I mean, you're pretty spread out already. I don't know if any more.
But you
I don't think we'll
understand
have press conferences anymore. But
I understand what
look,
我
we're
这样
very
子，我
careful.
们
I'm
这个
very
会
careful
也不
personally,
开
and
了。
but the travel ban.
我很
Aren't you afraid?
当
we
心
are。looking at numerous countries as they get in a position.
我们看
Brazil, as an example,
各
you
个
mentioned the
国
president.
家
Brazil had no problem until just a short time ago.
在
And now
Brazil
they're starting to get
很
inflamed. And yes, we are
之前都
absolutely
没有
looking at a
问
ban.
题。
There are
我
two other
们是
countries
在
you mentioned.
看，
Iran already has a ban. They had sort of an automatic ban in addition to that.
还有
They have a ban.
Iran
So we're looking at
之
certain
前的
countries
一个
as they
ban 又一个
become
ban，
hot.
Mr. President, you're starting a
看
new
他们
30
的
days
数字
now.。What are your plans? Are you going to stay in the White House? Are you going
记
to
者
travel
讲
at
这
all? Or
个
you
30
I doubt I'll leave.
天
I，wanted to go to
你
the
有
opening
什么计划？
of the hospital in New York.
我想去
And my people couldn't even
纽约
believe
的
it
医
that I
院，
said it. But I did. I wanted to go. They didn't want me to do it. The Secret Service didn't want me to do it.
他
for,
们不想
you know,
让
for
我
reasons. I wanted to
去，
go to the boat sailing into New York Harbor.
我
But
想
the governor
看
did a
看
good job
这
of
个
that. And the
船
mayor of New York. So, you know, I'd
看
love to
看
go out, but now I'll be in the
市
White House.
长，
And it's sort of like a
但
nerve
是
center,
我
control
会待
center.
在 White House。
And I think it's important, you know, look, you see what happened with Boris Johnson, you see what happened with others. I
你
think
看
it's
到
important
Boris
that
Johnson，
I remain
我
healthy.
觉
I
得
really
这
do.
个重要。
So
我要
for the most
健
part,
康，
we're staying here. I've canceled many different
我
events,
会基
and we'll
本
be staying
待
here for
在
the
这
most
里
part.。
Mr. President, Tom Frieden, the former director of the CDC, wrote an article the other day in which he
之前
said what's
CDC
really
的
needed here,
领导
and he understands the work that the task force is doing,
讲
is an incident commander to really take command of
讲需
where
要这
everything
个
is going
incident
and how things are being
commander。
coordinated.
We have
Is
it.
that something that could be useful in this
He was
particular
spoken to
instance?
us. We have it.
你现
His
在
name is Pete
觉得
Gaynor.
需要吗？
He's the administrator of
我
FEMA.
们有这
and
个
the
人
president
，Instant
signed,
Commander 叫 Pete Gaynor。
the National Emergency Declaration. He stood up
我
the
签了
National
这个
Response Center at FEMA. And now I can tell you that when the White House Coronavirus Task Force meets, I'm at
我可以
one end of
讲
the，table, and Pete Gaynor and the whole FEMA team are
我
by
们
video
有
conference
Pete
at the other
Gaynor
end of the table. And that's where, whether it be
有
the air bridge that's literally bringing
这
in
个
millions of medical supplies from around the world, the thoughtful deployment of those supplies to hospitals, particularly with
还有
regard to
分
ventilators.
分这
We're
个
working very closely.
呼
HHS
吸
is fully
机啊，
integrated at FEMA now. But because of the president's decision
HSS 和
to
FEMA
stand up
现在
FEMA in the
在
lead,
一起工
we have
作。
a coronavirus task force at the White House that's bringing the
我
president
们还有
the
这
very
个
best health experts and
coronavirus
recommendations from every agency.
团队，
But all the implementation, as we tell governors literally every day, is happening through FEMA. It's going down to the states through
每
FEMA,
天
and
都
state requests are coming up through
到
regional
州里面
administrators for FEMA and back to
每天都回我们消息。记者讲我们有4000个呼吸机。我们送出去了。大家不知道这个新的测试。如果有这个 incident commander， 这样是不是更好？我们刚发明这个，没有人可以知道。我昨天看到，我昨天给你们看。
Point of contact test was approved Friday. President announced it in the Rose Garden on Sunday. We're socializing that all across the country to every governor, to laboratories elsewhere. And I have to tell you, this team that the president has assembled, the advisors on the White House Coronavirus Task Force, and then this team at FEMA, whether it be HHS Deputy Secretary Bob Kadlec, who's coordinating all supplies, whether it be Admiral Joie, who is literally working with every state on a county-by-county basis to deploy testing, is impressive. And I think it's given great encouragement to governors. President and I spoke to governors in all the states and territories again yesterday. Because governors, I can tell you from my own experience as a governor, in Indiana, we had tornadoes and flooding. Governors know how to deal with FEMA. And as soon as the president stood up FEMA and declared that national emergency, what I'll call a certain amount of muscle memory kicked in states around the country. And we're really seeing a tremendous efficiency and communication, and that's how we're going to go forward. Again, the president's vision here is FEMA's vision, which is in response to a health crisis, it's locally executed, state-managed, federally supported, and I have to tell you, we're seeing that whole process spinning up every day. And I hope Americans looking on are encouraged by that system. And I know they're hearing from governors around the country about the flow of resources and testing and supplies, and we'll continue to keep that. What you call an incident command, what we call the Federal Emergency Management Agency,
commander.
And I have to say this, I've had, in the last less than a week, 3 governors call up that truly have disliked me over the years, even before I decided to run.
都很多州长打电话说这个做得蛮好。你的团队做得蛮好。州长都这么讲。有的人不太喜欢我，都讲我做得蛮好。
Was there any kind of White House modeling based
on
going to be a national lockdown or some sort of guidance to every single state that they needed to have lockdowns?
好，辛苦了，不要了啊。
So, all of the modelers who
所有做模型的这些人啊，我要感谢这些人，因为啊，把这个全球这些数据人员呢，都是很快从世界各地啊一起集结过来的。利用这些模型呢，我们才有做出这样的反应啊，才有这个做出要求大家关闭学校啊，保持社交距离啊，待在家里啊。没人想整个关闭啊，停止一切活动。这些所有的这个情形都在考虑到这个模型当中。我曾经在非洲，曾经这个知道这个艾滋病的这个防御工作。比如在武汉呢，有2000万的人口啊，这么大的人口，他们只报道了5万的，虽然报道了5万的感染人数。当时的话只认为作为非典，但是后来就成为了这个全球的大泛滥。 我认为这个整个医疗的这个业界的人士呢，因为对，就是因为来自中国这个缺失的这个数据啊，所以说才会出现意大利这种严重的情形。如果你感染的话，那你在家隔离的时候就一定要跟家人保持距离。对，所以我们要求这个感染的人在家里做自我隔离。
So if that's true, why not tell every state to do that?
It's everybody social distancing by 6 feet when they're outside, and that is probably absolutely the key more than anything else.
现在目前的首要任务是大家一定要遵守保持社交距离的这个指导啊和要求，这样的话才能有效的控制的病毒的传播。我从总统、副总统所讲的，我们相信我们的国民能够做到这一点，保持社交距离。如果你在外面行走的时候，一定要保持人与人之间的距离。我们相信国民会做到这一点。所以说，这其实也是一种这个关闭隔离的形式。这个病毒的传染性太强了。我知道，可能从来没有人遇到过这种情形。你摸一下，或者是就会被感染。这我知道，在那时候可能没有医生会知道他有这么严重。我要说一下这个呼吸机的问题。这纽约州长库某建议应该是联邦系统呢应该决定这呼吸机的价钱。现在是各个州之间可能因为这呼吸机的价格产生了意见。我昨天已经提供和供给了大量的这个呼吸机的，这个数字是很大的。这个通用汽车生产了非常多的呼吸机了，已经。不要说我太过于这个太乐观，我确实很乐观的。我们有上千个呼吸机了。到最后呢，我们一定会帮助像意大利这样的国家。因为拿到呼吸机是非常难买的一个资源。你认为这个纽约州长库某是错了吗？我不知道他说了啥，我知道他是比较讲究理性的。我想他可能以后会竞选总统的。他是非常慷慨的一个人，因为我给他了很多东西啊。我给他了非常多的呼吸机，2000、4000的都给了。但是我给了他以后呢，他把它放到了自己的仓库里面，没有拿出来用。我一定要听他亲口说这件事情。最后一个问题，我们明天再见。Almost tomorrow， 今天的时间非常长。这是一个非常非常黑暗的一个话题，所以说大家都有点恐慌，所以才会有 这么多的反应。很多人都感染了呀。如果是我们没有现在的这种执行能力和领导能力的话，这个后果比现在要严重多了。你会看到第二波的疫情的爆发。如果这个居家令或者是这个，我觉得我们已经准备得非常好了。但是第二波疫情爆发的话，我们可能一定会控制得更好，更好的准备，因为我们已经准备更好了。现在由福气来回答这个问题啊。这个第二波的疫情爆发跟第一波完全是两个不同的事情。如果过了30天以后，我们大大的减轻了疫情的扩散，控制了疫情，已经压制了这个曲线。如果没有继续采取这个措施的话，还会有更大的危险的。我们希望这个不会发生，我们也希望把这个曲线一点点的压平。另外一个方面呢，就是说，这就是病毒爆发的本性啊。这也是很快就会这个在全世界传播啊。同时，我们要担心下一个季节会不会再重新复发呢？是不是你会有更多的疫苗呢？有没有足够的医疗设备呢？对吧？说下一波的爆发更关乎季节性的这个爆发。现在有很多积极的正能量的东西在发生啊，比如说我们也在积极的研发各种的药物啊，疫苗啊。最后一个问题，如果最坏的打算，谁决定能够把联邦这个于储备的1万个呼吸机分发下去？谁决定这个生死状的一个至关生死的这个决定？通过 FEMA 就是联邦紧急管理局的这个根据当地的情况来做出的这个决定，大概3到4个人吧。感谢大家问一些这些很有意义的问题啊，明天见。好，今天的直播翻译到这儿，再见。